Following the announcement of the Ministry of Petroleum on the readiness of Saudi Arabia to invest in the Nigerian oil and gas sector, all experts in the country have begun to show their support for this development. Saudi Arabia is due to sign a memorandum of understanding with the Nigerian government to help revamp the 4 existing refineries in the country. Saudi Aramco is also planning to build new refineries to help build the productivity level of the downstream sector, and Adesha Odushaga has been finding out the implications of this.
After 40 years of activities in the downstream sector, the largest oil and gas producer in Africa, Nigeria, is still struggling to refine its own crude oil for final consumption. The government of Saudi Arabia has now expressed its readiness to sign a memorandum of understanding with Nigeria for the revamp of its refineries and for the construction of a new one. These oil and gas experts have now thrown his weight behind this development.
If Saudi Aramco or Saudi Arabia intends to establish a refinery in Nigeria, that will also be good. At least we won't be talking about landing costs, this cost, that cost. We will basically be getting the crude oil from wellheads from oil wells in Nigeria, ship them either through trains and wagons or through pipelines to respective refineries within Nigeria. We are likely to refine them in Nigeria, distribute them in Nigeria, and probably sell them in Nigerian currency called the Naira, and that on its own will help us to conserve foreign exchange.
As much as this great initiative seeks to expand the productivity of the Nigerian oil and gas sector, analyst explains the possible reasons why the Saudi Aramco is seeking to invest in the old refineries instead of building new ones.
The government of Nigeria, and represented by NNPC, and the government of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, represented by Saudi Aramco, to sit down together, look at the state of the current refineries, carry out their risk analysis, all kinds of business analysis, look at all the models that they will deploy. If they feel it will be cost effective, to do something about the existing 4 refineries in Nigeria, so be it. And if to them they feel it will make a business sense, to invest in entirely new refineries, that will be fantastic, because at least that will practically increase the number of refineries. But in the case of Nigeria, we were made to understand that our government has decided to invest close to probably $2.5 billion, which is almost close to about 765 billion naira, to do something about reviving the 4 refineries. Believe me, that is one of the greatest things that will happen to Nigeria.
Despite enormous funds pumped into the refineries by the government through series of turnaround maintenance, the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation (NNPC) says the nation's 4 major refineries have been operating below installed capacities. Analyst explains why it has become difficult for the country to fix its refineries.
The leaders that we had from probably 1990 to date, because the 4 refineries we had were constructed between 1965 and 1989. In a span of 24 years, we had 4 refineries, meaning that we had an average of 1 refinery in 4 years. But from 1990 to now, 2019, you're talking about 29 years. The generation of leaders we had couldn't construct 1 additional refinery, and they could not maintain the ones they inherited. I think their thinking was they probably wanted to move away from the business model of internal domestication, internal refining, and see if they can rely on imports. But it is now clear that they got it wrong. It is now clear that the current generation of leaders are not more visionary compared to the previous generation of leaders who constructed those 4 refineries for us.
The Memorandum of Understanding would include Nigeria's attempts to revamp refineries in Warri, Port Harcourt in Kaduna, building of a brand new refinery, investment in liquefied natural gas, as well as product supply trading in crude oil and refined products. The partnership investment agreement would be signed by President Muhammadu Buhari in the first week of May. Adeshewa Dushoga, TV360 Nigeria.